But no, Beth, your goes crashing down. Determination, the suffering, the ability to... And she's unleashed everything in this attack. See just how much that win means to him. All the marbles. Kayla versus Allison, and to the line. Kayla Laguna takes the victory.
Hey everyone, and welcome to CVRcade World Cup Racing. We are in the run-up to the team racing that's going to be happening in just a few short weeks, and we have a great omnium tonight. We've got 4 races. We've got Echelon as the low-skill event. You can see the racers warming up on course. We've got Rocky Mountains as the medium-skill 2.5-time multiplier. We have Lakeview Corner, which is a brand new track, a 2-time multiplier, and Attack the Middle ×2 on the points as well. And if the racers that are in Zone T tonight were wise, they would have been able to go back. If they didn't watch the shows live for K&L, they certainly should have done so to do their homework to prepare for tonight, because 2 new tracks on course after Echelon, after Rocky Mountains, is going to beat out of their legs. Warming out on course, we have Homer doing his 4th Omnium of the day. Homer might chime in, a big fan favorite, chime in on some of the commentary tonight with me to add some perspective with what he experienced earlier today. We've got his teammate Daniel, Team Cognition, 2 riders out in force. Daniel also in the stream. Good luck to Daniel. We've got Aaron. Aaron is also in the broadcast warming up. Aaron, Team CVRcade here racing tonight. Last week on Tuesday, he did have a little bit of a comeback kid in his own way, but tonight, hopefully his stomach is doing a little better. And then Kayla as well, working with Aaron on the CVRcade team. Kayla, as I've been saying, is one of the most highly sought after racers. We also have Jeff Rooney in the mix, and not on stream tonight, but we do have, there he is. He is on stream. I didn't see him in the earlier run-up. Good luck to you, Jeff. Velocity team was out earlier enforcing K&L. Good luck to Jeff. And of course, the teammate with Kayla and Aaron is Frank, who is also on the stream here. Just under 1 minute to go. I've done so much talking here. I haven't had a chance to ask from the racers, but what are you watching? CVRcade, physical esports, low skill event, 1-time multiplier, corner caper as an ability, quantum shift as an ability, uncrashable as an ability, and 1 comeback kid for the power play. Now, with the low skill event, we've been seeing different tactics come to play. We've been seeing strong sprints. We've been seeing timing things a little bit differently, but 2 laps on Echelon, 4.1 kilometers to go in just under 30 seconds. So earlier in the Omnium, we saw Team Velocity come out. We saw Team Cycling Hub came out. We saw Team TBD, which was formerly the Pink Panthers, Team Sarcasm. Tonight, we've got Team Cognition, Team CVRcade. We've got a Velocity rider out there. So we're going to see how these guys shake things up in this CVRcade World Cup run-up racing. In 3, 2, 1, we're going to come out of the gate. And again, this low skill event, quantum shift is on as an ability, so the racers will be able to phase through one another here. And they don't want to get dropped out of the gate, because once these racers are up to speed, the draft is quite intense. And if you lose the draft, you're going to get spit out the back. Timothy Tremont, I think he is on a keyboard tonight on the front with Daniel here, on board with Daniel here. Team Cognition taking in with the pack, safely tucked in. Everyone, it does look like, has made this front group. Maybe Kayla just a second back there. She did use her comeback kid here, flying through, did not want to get left behind on that first bit of the lap. Now, Kayla also raced there earlier today. She said her legs feel good. She's feeling strong. And with this race, 2 laps on echelon, there's no wind on course. We'll see how it unfolds. And if you've been watching here, Team Velocity, Jeff, his teammate, Vibeke, took the earlier zone in zone L today. Ryan was there also. I believe he was third place. So Velocity is coming out in force over the Omniums. Frank here in the pen did also race on Tuesday. He's feeling strong. And this race, you can see that the heart rates aren't really super elevated. So it's really a quick burst out of the gate, and then it's settle in and stay in the pack and conserve. This is a great warm-up race until the very end, and when people really spend it and punch it out. Here we are on board with Homer, needing to use that comeback kid. He did get spit off the back by a couple seconds. The comeback kid is going to be enough to bridge it, because that gives you extra power for 45 seconds or until you pass the rider in front of you. So that was enough time for him to make that connection. Oh, so close, Homer. Oh, so close. Did I speak too soon? You have to just finish that play. And he does, and he makes connection. You can see him from the side there coming in and flies through the front. So nice effort by Homer not to get missed out here on lap 1 of 2. Here we are on board with Aaron. We know that Aaron is in comms with Kayla and Frank here. So we know that he's watching the nearby riders. He's watching the list on the side of the screen. He's watching the heart rates. He's watching the power. He does not want to be caught off guard. Almost one lap down, 1 to go. Again, as abilities, you can't crash on this course. The corner caper as well as in play. So this is just hang into the draft and be ready to time your move at the end of the race. And I think in the earlier zones, people went at different times. They've been trying different tactics. I know I've been stepping out into the wind to try to feel that power, because the draft tends to make you run out of gears here. But back on board with Kayla, we've got thank you if you're joining us in the Mixer chat. We've got Crucible. Kayla, I'll cheer for you no matter what team you select. So there you go. One of the highly sought after racers here is Kayla Laguna. Was a force last season. And now she finds herself racing with CVRcade, but looks like she's going to be a free agent and probably can pick her own demands and get herself quite a contract with one of these other teams here. So we also have Crucible saying Kayla or Daniel. Timothy Termont is also here saying hello. He's on keyboard and he's joining us in the chat. Thank you so much, Mixer, for joining us. And if you have a favorite racer, if you're just watching the broadcast, please chime in for your favorite racer. And we do see, just as a reminder, Jennifer did take Zone K. Jennifer Garcia usually races in this Zone T. So she is absent from the broadcast tonight, but that does not mean that Jennifer, if you're a fan of Jennifer, she did race earlier with Team TBD. 1 kilometer to go. Homer's on the front, who has raced, as I said, 4 Omniums. Here's Jeff sitting up, looking comfortable, ready to make his move. Aaron second wheel, Kayla now second wheel. They're kind of lining up here. Aaron, Kayla, and Frank, 1, 2, 3. So if they can time their moves, Kayla did use her comeback kid, but Aaron and Frank did not. So there's a possibility here for Kayla to make a move, get a break on the group, and maybe Aaron or Frank to come around. But Homer also has Daniel in the mix here, just about a second back. So if Daniel drips off the back, I'd be watching for Daniel. But he does make a move here. 1,300 equalized watts. He is adding some power. They're getting away from the group here, making his move. Daniel's up out of the saddle. 1,100 equalized watts. And then we saw a comeback kid deployed, but it was already nullified here. And will Daniel be able to hold it? 0.2 kilometers to go. He can see off his rearview mirror that nobody is coming behind him here. Frank drops his comeback kid. Daniel is digging it, saying, I want this. I'm going to come through. Will Aaron come through at the end? No. So close. Jeff almost closed it down. Yes, that is a happy man right there. You see Daniel worked for it, and he earned it there. He made an early break. 1,200 equalized watts blasting through. Let's take a look at that replay here on with Jeff and Frank here. We can see Daniel comes up out of the saddle. You can see him on the helicopter cam here. He's got at least 6 bike lengths on the racers. I think he had a second gap, which can be made up really fast with a chase group because they're accelerating and he's facing the wind, has no draft. But he looks over his shoulder. He sees the racers coming. He can see some of the plays being made behind him, and he gives one last push. He can see the finish banner in sight around the corner, focused, concentrated, never lose sight of the prize. And just at the end, he almost gets nipped by, I think that was Frank or Jeff. He did not get nipped at the line. So close right there. He had just enough road. He timed that perfectly. Congratulations, Daniel. Daniel, how does that feel?
That feels pretty good. I noticed nobody was using their comeback kids or going off the back. So I figured I'd just go early, try and catch everyone by surprise. Try not to die. Almost failed at the second one.
Well, you did not die. You're in first, and it was Jeff, and then followed by Frank that almost caught you. I mean, it was fractions of fractions. It was just on the line. So your timing couldn't have been perfect, but that was a massively long sprint. You did start early, and you were able to hold them off. That's impressive.
Yeah, I've noticed I can kind of hold a little bit longer than usual. We'll see how much I pay for it in the next few races. 500 meters is definitely a long sprint.
It is. Well, sitting in here, I'll check in with Jeff in just a moment. But before I do, Daniel, you've got 2 laps of Rocky Mountains coming up, a 2.5 multiplier. You're sitting 4 points ahead of Jeff, 1 razor's edge, 1 weight lifted, wind out on course. What's your strategy? You've got Homer to work with. What are you guys thinking?
I'm not sure. I'm going to go hard off the front, off the start, see what happens there. Maybe if someone follows me, I'll grab their wheel, let them do the work, try something at the end if I'm recovered.
All right. Well, that sounds like a solid plan. And I know you'll react as we go. Let's check in with Jeff, who did almost nip him at the line. Jeff, so close, like literally half a wheel, like not even. If you had just another bit of maybe 10 meters, you probably would have caught him.
I was surprised, like with Frank and I and that draft we had, that we would have caught a bit quicker, but he put down some good power for enough time to hold his momentum up, and he stayed away. So it was an excellent job of taking off like that, and well timed. I've still got to recover in time for this 15.5K race. So I'm not sure if that was a good race or a bad race we just had.
Well, it is 15.5 kilometers. It is 2.5 multipliers, the highest multiplier on the day, and then the 2 races after that, the new Lakeview Corner and Attack the Middle. Did you get a chance to ride those 2 tracks in preparation for tonight?
No, I got to watch the streams from earlier, so hopefully I learned something from that. We'll see. Time will tell.
Well, good luck, Jeff. You're looking super strong out there. Congratulations on that second place finish. Let's check in with Frank. Frank Garcia, third place, neck and neck with Jeff. I thought you were going to maybe have a chance there to catch him, but just needed about 10 more meters of road.
Probably just about 1. It was 4 1,000ths of a second. So
4, is that what it was?
Race. Yeah, 4 1,000ths of a second behind Jeff. So that was really close. Kudos to Daniel. Great sprint. And I got to use my comeback kid and everything. I definitely had momentum there at the end, but just ran out of room. So great timing by Daniel.
Great timing. And coming into Rocky Mountain, how are the legs feeling for you for Rocky Mountain?
Well, they were feeling pretty good before that sprint. So this is a long race. So we'll see if they get underneath me fully or fade away. I had a good day on Tuesday, but my fitness is pretty low, so it might be a fade day, but we'll see.
Well, good luck to you, Frank. You've got Aaron in there working with you. You've got Kayla in there. I know you guys will get organized here. Let's take a quick check-in with Aaron, who was right behind you on that finish after Daniel took that. Looks like Aaron just stepped away for a moment. We will come back to him after the broadcast. Just 1 minute left. I don't know if Kayla's in the mix here. And Timothy's in the mix. There you are. You're not out of breath at all.
Oof. Oh, I am. Trust me, I am. Oh, oof, that was tough. No, no. I'm just on a keyboard, having some fun here, getting some extra practice in.
Awesome. Well, Team TBD had a great showing earlier today with Jennifer and Ben. You had some fun on the bike.
Definitely, definitely. The previous Omniums KNL, they both did really well. I kind of slacked off a bit, but that's why I'm just getting some extra practice in here, learning the maps a bit more, the tracks. So yeah, it's always good to keep practicing.
Timothy Termont, one of the most highly skilled and practiced racers in CVRcade, and it shows here. So good luck to you in the practice. 10 seconds to go. We've got Daniel, Jeff, Frank. That's 1, 2, 3 coming in to this 15.5 kilometer race. Kayla up out of the saddle here, ready, putting down the power here. Daniel, like he said, next to Frank there. Kayla right in line there, trying to make sure people do not lose the move on the front. Daniel, as he said, he wanted to be at the front. He's with Frank about 1 second. He's trying to hold on. Frank using his power there. He talked about his fitness, but he does have his strength. So this is his opportunity to get away. And he did race really well and really hard on Tuesday. But if he can get away early, maybe have Kayla come up and work with him in the wind so he's not out there by himself, that will work. But Daniel, I think, is determined to close down that gap. Daniel, Team Cognition, Frank, CVRcade, Jeff, Team Velocity, Homer, also Cognition, Kayla in there, CVRcade, Timothy Termont, the Team TBD. It does look like Homer, it might be a little bit further back here in the race. He's doing this as recovery. Today, excuse me, not recovery. He's doing this more just to come out and ride. He did do 3 Omniums earlier. He might be joining me in the broadcast, but he found himself on the front again. He just doesn't know when to. He just always finds himself at the front. That Homer, even though he says he's not going to. Here is Jeff working hard, hanging on to the side of Daniel's wheel here. These racers have wind out on course, and they can feel it in their legs. So the profile on the bottom of the screen, you can see the gray line. It goes up and then it goes down, and it's 2 laps of that cycle, anywhere between a 2 and 4% grade on this climb, nice and steady. So it gets brutal, and you add the wind to that climb, and you might say, oh, it's only a 2% grade. With the wind and the grade together, it is a tough slog, and it is 2 laps. But we have had races that on Rocky Mountain that racers have just chugged away at it, checked in with the pace spots and sat on the wheel of that and helped close depending on what's going on the front here. But Jeff in the front with Daniel, with Homer. Frank is pushing it 10 seconds up the road from Jeff and Daniel. So Jeff and Daniel and Homer need to get organized because Frank is just killing it on the front. 450 equalized watts, his heart rate 184. He is absolutely drilling it. And I think what he's trying to do is put enough distance between him and the racers behind him to really make them give up. If they were a little bit closer, maybe he could, work with them a little bit, maybe take shelter from the wind. But when you're in the front and you've got a lead like that, you just take it. No one came with him, so he is just continuing on. Side by side here with Jeff, also putting down some massive watts. Daniel and Jeff together there about 13 seconds back now. 188 on the heart rate. Daniel 190 on the heart rate. Both of them over 400 watts. But if you look, let's not get hung up on the power for a second. Let's look at the speed differential because they are climbing here. And if they want to make up distance, not only do they have to put the power down, but that power translates to speed out on course. So they have to pick their spots. They do not want Frank to crest the hill too far ahead of them because that gap will open up because Frank will start to go down the hill. He'll be able to accelerate and open up that gap more. And I think that's what Frank is hoping for now. If he can just continue to open up that gap, make these guys work. And I don't really see that Daniel and Jeff are necessarily working together. Jeff on the wheel of Daniel. Daniel is out in the wind here. 400 equalized watts here. Looks like Jeff was taking a look at the way the wind direction is here, and seeing if he can find himself a better draft here. The way that I'm reading the wind puts Daniel in a better drafting position right now than Jeff, but I might be misreading the compass here on my broadcaster view. But if Frank takes the win on this is will give him the top spot. It'll put him 7 points ahead of Jeff, who is sitting in second if he finishes in the position that he is. But it's still super close between the 1, 2, 3 riders, and Homer still in the mix here, fourth back, about 10 seconds back from Daniel and Jeff, and then Timothy might make connection with Homer, and maybe Timothy and Homer can work together and have some fun. It is kind of fun to see the keyboard players play with the physical players and mix it up, and it's really awesome to have Timothy in here excuse me, to give some insight, particularly when we get to pardon me, I'm running out of voice here. Particularly when we get to that more technical courses. I am sorry. All right, Homer is hammering it down. Homer, I might need to come to you with your voice if you have one, because I'm starting to sound like a horse. Hang on one second. I do have a drink here while I take a little drink. I apologize for that. Okay. And I think I might be back. I am back. All right. A little bit of dry heat in the Boston area, with it being about 17 degrees outside, needing a little extra extra hydration here in the studio here. But woo, there's my voice back. One more sip, guys. Thanks for dealing with me. Crucible is saying Kayla or Daniel. Let's see. We have, and here we go. We have, we have those other comments here. Thank you. The chat is coming alive here. Louise, so what's the official name for Timothy's team? That's a really good question. We are calling him Team TBD at the moment. And I wonder right now if we can see Timothy and Kayla working together. I wonder if this is Timothy's way to softly recruit Kayla, saying, Kayla, take my wheel. I don't know. Look at him, his face. I don't know. I'm putting him. Any comment? I think I can come to you, Timothy. Any comment there? Are we working with Kayla?
Oh. I'm working very hard here, Beth. Oh, why do this to me? Nah, just like I said, like if I can help people out here in these zones, I'll be happy to. It's just me racing, getting some extra knowledge in. So yeah, if I can help people, why not? Why not?
That's awesome. It doesn't hurt that she's a really great racer and might be in need of a team in the upcoming league. But that's all wonderful, Timothy. Team TBD. All right, side by side here, we've got Jeff and Frank here, both really killing it here. Frank, of course, is further up the road by about 13 seconds from Daniel and Jeff, and he does right now have a little bit 44 on the speed, but Daniel and Jeff 48 and 49. So this is an opportunity on that speed differential for Daniel and Jeff to maybe make up some of that time here. You can see right now, you can't see on your screen, but I can see that the way they're coming down the hill here, they might be able to make up some time. They've got 24, 14, carry the one, minus this, borrow from the next column over 9 seconds now to Frank. So Frank is watching those numbers. He's watching their heart rate. He's watching what they're needing to do, and he's just working hard. He puts down some power, 600, 700 equalized watts there. He is giving it a little bit of a punch, trying to open that back up, trying to pick up the speed so that as long as he's going faster than the riders behind him, it's going to be awfully difficult for those riders to make up. It's just basic okay, now here's Kayla laughing. Oh man, I wish I was in the comms with her, listening to what she's hearing here. I don't know, but she's laughing. She's watching those pace spots go flying by, having a good time. Kayla Laguna, always fun to watch. We'll have to ask her after what the joke is, because boy, am I feeling left out. What do you think, Mixer? What do you think is making her laugh here? So let's see here. Oh boy. Let me get into the comments here. Take a breath, Timothy. Oh my gosh. We're having fun here in the chat. Back on board with Homer, who's sitting in fourth. He took one of the steps in L in the Omnium. I think he took second place in the Omnium to Vivica in Zone L. Just a monster machine here, and he's still going after 4 Omniums, and he really raced well. He races well every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. He says he's out here having fun, and boy, you can see it on his face that he's having fun, but he's also working hard, because if you look at his heart rate, he's not working as hard as the front group, but he's putting it back in the 174, and after 4 hours of racing, his body is running like a top here. We have 9.2 kilometers to go with Jeff. You can see side by side Daniel looking focused, keeping his eyes on the road, watching those white lines fly by, getting in the zone here. He was in with 4 seconds of Frank. He is in hot pursuit, 49 kph. Frank, 44 kph. Is this the fade that Frank was talking about? He comes up out of the saddle and he says, no, Beth, I am not going to fade. I am not going to let Daniel catch me. I've worked too hard for that. I'm going to dig in and keep it for as long as I can. But they're going to come around and they're going to start that climb back up again. And once they come down this last little bit of the descent, it flattens out for just a slight second, and then they have to go back up and climb it. So at that point is a spot of danger for Frank, because his speed will start to go down, but Daniel's will be able to stay at a faster rate. So Jeff, a little bit further back from Daniel, trying to make up that gap, 3 seconds. So about 3 seconds from Frank, 3 seconds to Daniel, 3 seconds to Jeff, and then about 20 seconds or 30 seconds back to Homer. So this is Jeff, Velocity team here. His teammate Vivica took the top step. Ryan was also in the mix. We had 4 riders, I think, from Velocity be in the top 5 in Zone L. So here is Jeff getting his power on, getting his training in, running down the Dream and running down Daniel. He can see Daniel. You can see him off in the distance. He just has to hammer until he makes connection with that wheel, and then he can take just a little bit of a breath if he can get in and recover a little bit. And Daniel did catch Frank, and now Jeff is going to do the same thing here on the bottom of the lap. So they did get that little flat spot, and they are all back together again. So let's see, we've got Allison Duck in here. We've got Luis in here. Luis giving you some love. Homer saying Homer is amazing. I think I say that every Omnium, but it can't be said too much. It can't be understated. And then let's see, Kayla is usually serious. Nice to see her smile. Crucible said that earlier there when we were looking at Kayla. She is serious and fierce, but it is nice to see her smile. She does have fun even when she's not smiling, but it is good to see that on her face. So Allison is saying, go Homer, go Daniel. Allison, of course, the Team Cognition rider, cheering for you, Homer. You've got your teammates in the chat cheering for you. They're not out on course with you, but they are with you in spirit, and I am delivering their messages here to you. So Allison, loopy track, fantastic, Alien C. Aaron may have thrown up again. Maybe I should have taken a break from the bike. Man, that poor guy here. We don't, as long as we didn't catch it on camera, we will just like pretend it never happened. Out Terror, welcome to the broadcast. Thank you. Team Kayla, hashtag Team Kayla Out Terror says she does have a nice smile at Kayla. So Kayla, keep on smiling here. Little less smiling in the front with the pain faces here with Frank and Daniel here. Daniel now taking the lead. Frank is taking his wheel, taking the opportunity to sit in and draft. You can see Frank did just change the lane here, probably watching the wind direction, realizing the optimal position for drafting might not be directly behind the rider, but to the side of the rider, depending on which way the wind shifts, you can sometimes get a better draft if it's a crosswind, if you stay to the side of the rider. But right now, Frank will take whatever draft he can get. He drilled it off the front on lap 1, and he does not want to lose that. And here we are on board with Jeff, who did make connection with Daniel and Frank, but wasn't able to hold on. He's 8 seconds back from both Daniel and Frank here, but he is holding down third. And if he can keep that position here, he can make a decision. He can say, do I want to try to solo up to Frank and try to and Daniel and try to out sprint them at the end? He does have a couple power-ups. I haven't seen the power-ups. Sometimes I do miss the power-ups being played, but I haven't seen the power-ups being played. So I am getting word Channel 1 is here. Welcome, Channel 1. Thank you so much for being here. This is CVRcade World Cup Racing. We've got Daniel and Frank side by side here on your screen, riding their bikes. Physical esports at its finest here. Their bikes are reading power. The power is translated into the game. That is what's moving their avatars. So their bikes are the controller. If you're joining the broadcast, CVRcade.com is where you can find the game, because you can also play this game by downloading it and playing it on your keyboard if you don't have a bike. So again, welcome to our friends at Channel 1. It's great to have you here. On the scoreboard right now, Daniel and Frank are duking it out for first and second. This is the second race of a 4-race Omnium. This is Rocky Mountains. We've got 5.7 kilometers to go, and the multipliers on this race is 2.5. So lots of points on offer. Jeff decides to use his power up. That is the razor blade. The razor blade makes you cut through the air so that you can accelerate faster. So you are more aerodynamic. The razor blade does give you a nice little boost, particularly when there's wind out. And of course, there's the wind that your body creates when you move through the environment. Think about riding a bike outside, you feel the wind. So that same thing is happening in this virtual environment. They're faced with the wind that they create when they move through the environment. And then there's also the wind of just being windy on Rocky Mountain today. That just happens to be the weather conditions. So they're fighting that. And Jeff is by himself. He's about 10 seconds back from Frank and Daniel, so he does not have any draft here. He is out alone, but he does have 2 more races to go. So his decision is, do I leave that gap where it is and just hold Homer back so I can save a little bit for the next 2 races? How does he want to conserve his energy? He could be out training tonight. He could be just testing what he has, but I would be conserving my effort at this point. Take the third place points, make sure Homer doesn't pass me, and then save some for Lakeview Corner, and as well as our high skill event, Attack the Middle. 2 new tracks that were so very exciting here. Checking back in with the chat here, Allison says, Daniel, do a dirty block on Frank. Anyway, thank you, Nightmare Man. I love watching this channel. Thank you. We're happy to have you here. Out Terror, keep moving up, Kayla. You've got this. Really great to have the chat. Please cheer for your favorite racers here. These guys are pouring it all out. Nightmare 235XX says, go Homer. J-Raw Nasty, let's go. And then a bunch of arm flexes. Yes, power. And then, so welcome, J-Raw Nasty, if I'm saying that correctly. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Happy to have you in the broadcast here. This is CVRcade Racing. This is the run-up to the league. We awarded in the last league $25,000 of a total prize purse. If you're wondering why these guys are working so hard, they are practicing right now in the run-up. They are figuring out what their competition is like. You can see, if you look at the list, you can see that their heart rates, 189 for Daniel, 188 for Frank. That is pretty near close. 200 is the max heart rate in the game. So when these folks were doing their max effort, 200 is the number. So if you went out on the track today and you just sprinted, whether on a bike or on foot, and you sprinted as hard as you could, and your heart is beating out of your chest and it's in your throat and you can feel the pulse in your neck, that is what they are doing. They are doing maximal effort when they hit 200. And you can see an attack here from Daniel. Jeff drops another power up down the way, but Daniel is on a mission. He is focused. He did take the first race in the Omnium, the low skill event on Echelon, one that had a one-time multiplier. But Jeff is on the move here. He is not backing down. He is holding up a fight. 400 equalized watts, 194 on his heart rate. He is absolutely bringing it, saying, I want to get up there. 3.4 kilometers to go. And you can see on the map below there, you can see the profile. They're cresting the top here, those little white dots on the top of the profile where the map shape is on the bottom of the screen, in the center of the screen there. You can see where the riders are on course. You can see the course shape. And they are just coming down the hill. And so what they can do now is you would think like, oh, they're going down the hill. Maybe they have a chance to recover. No, they don't. Homer there drops the weight-lifted power up, which makes him 30 kilograms lighter for just about 10 seconds. So it gives him a little bit of an ability to accelerate and pop up over the top of that climb and to accelerate a little bit more. Again, Homer Thompson, fourth Omnium of the day. This is his 4th hour of racing on the platform. If that's not dedication, if that borders on addiction, but it's one that I can truly support here, because Homer, this is fun and it's good for you here. Doodad Athlete says, nice riding, Jeff. Nightmare X says, Homer. J-Ron Nasty, yeah, 2,000 sparks, thank you. Let's go, Nightmare X is saying, yes, I love it. 4 Omniums, that's right, Allison, you heard me right. 4 Omniums for that. And then here we are on board with Jeff. You can see the helicopter view. These racers they can feel the finish line in sight here. 2.3 kilometers to go for Daniel and Frank. And they are it's going to come down to a sprint. So who used the power up? Did either of them use the power up? I don't think either of them used the power up. I think they have relied on their legs. So it's going to come down to timing and strategy and who has the legs in the sprint. Both of them, I think it was 4.4 thousandths or 4 1,000ths of a second that separated Frank and Daniel in the last race on a sprint. So they are well-matched competitors. They both have the power. It could go any way. What do you think, Mixer? Who's going to take it in the sprint? Will it be Frank or will it be Daniel? Go ahead, vote in the chat. Let us know. It is intense, J-Rod Nasty. It is so intense. These guys, their hearts are pounding out of their chest. Their legs are on fire and burning. You can see on the left-hand side right now how they're drafting there. The closer that Frank gets to Daniel's wheel, the more draft benefit that he is getting. So he wants to stay tight on the wheel, but he doesn't want to bump the wheel, because if he bumps the wheel, he will bounce off the back and he will lose some of his speed. So he's got to throttle in ever so slightly, feather in to the wheel to get the max draft so he can recover. So with Daniel on the front, putting down a little bit more effort, taking on the wind, Frank's in a little bit of an advantaged position here because Daniel could be his lead out, but Daniel says, no, I'm not going to be your lead out. I'm going to change some lanes. I'm going to make you work for it. Nightmare 235X says, Frank. Louis says, let's go, Daniel. J-Raw Nasty says, keep it up, Daniel. Oh my gosh here. And Doodad Athlete says, sorry, fellow Canadian, got to go with Frank in this position. Team Garcia all the way, says Chip 1289. Thank you for bringing this in. These are an hour long. Hey, J. Ronassi, there are 4 races in this Omnium, and the Omnium does take about an hour. We have about a 2 or 3 minute break in between the racers where we get to hear from the racers, we get to hear their perspective, but 0.5 kilometers to go, 2 more races to go. We certainly have at least another 25 minutes of racing in the broadcast, but in this one particular race, stick around for the finish here. 0.4 kilometers to go. Will it be Daniel? Will it be Frank? Jeff did hold up Homer up out of the saddle. Daniel, 1,200 equalized watts. Frank also out of the saddle, responds to that with 1,200 equalized watts. Both of them are absolutely hammering 60 kph, 61 kph by Daniel in the front. And Frank matches 57, 58 kph, but it is Daniel that takes it at the line. And Frank just about a second behind. That was a massive effort by Daniel, by Frank. You saw them. And here comes Jeff, who just never gave up. He certainly could have put down less effort, but this is how he rides. He always is going for it. He has the training here. He is hammering it to the finish, 370 watts. That is a threshold effort. He picks it up well over 400. He knows around this corner, the sweet reward of the finish banner is in sight, and he's going to bring it all the way to the line and cross the line and take that third place race here in the standings here. Back on board with Homer. Yes, I did say this is his 4th hour of racing, his 4th Omnium here, and he is drilling it still. 365 equalized watts, 44 kph, and he is going to make his way across the bridge. A couple twists and turns. He can see those racers up above the bot patrol in front of him. You can see here on the side here, Team Cognition, beautiful kit here. And this is wonderful. Hey, I see you guys in the nice job. Congratulations, Homer, on that race. And then Kayla also here. We have to check in with Kayla at some point because we did see a smile. Everyone noted it on Mixer. She has to come up with something good to tell us. Well done, Kayla. Just under 5 minutes to the next event. Let's take a look at the replay here. Jeff takes a moment to wipe the sweat off his brow here on the replay. He found himself alone between the front group. He did make connection. Frank was off the front early. Daniel and Jeff did catch up to them, and then it was just a slugfest between Daniel and Frank. Some trades on the front here, but neither one of them gave up too much here. We did see the power-ups but being used here. Razor's edge there in this replay by Daniel on the left-hand side, trying to get away from Frank. It was enough to come up to speed here. And he did end up holding it at the line, but both of these guys absolutely drilled it to the end. Let's check in with Daniel. Daniel, have you caught your breath yet? I tried to fill with the replay so you could catch your breath.
Yeah, I think I'm good. I think that was a good race. Kudos to Frank. I heard him on the interview saying he might fade. So when he took off the front, I sort of didn't want to chase too hard, hoping I'd just make up the time slowly over the race. And once he got behind me, I knew he wasn't going to try and come around unless it was to block. So I kept moving over to the lane that would prevent him from echeloning and just hope to wear him out with some digs here and there to save my power up for the end. Worked out well. That was a good race.
Well, congratulations chasing him down. Very clever on that race, and also watching the wind out on course. You've got Lakeview Corner coming up next. You're sitting on top of the leaderboard. What are we going to see from you? Have you practiced this course?
I wrote it on keyboard for a bit earlier today, so we'll see what happens. I know the corner speeds, they're pretty high, so I'm just going to do the same thing, just chew my stem, wait for the finish line, and see what position I'm in.
All right. Well, that sounds solid. Good luck to you. And let's check in with Frank, who was like a bullet off the front on Rocky Mountain. Hey, Frank, talk me through that experience.
That was good. The wind really helped the chasers there. Strong headwind. I get a lot of rest in second position, which I took advantage of on the second climb. Daniel had that power up at the end, and his timing was perfect. I was going to sprint, so I switched lanes to go sprint, and he popped the power up and sprinted then, which means I wasn't in his draft. So brilliant gameplay by Daniel. But the Omnium ain't over yet, as they say. I think it's really going to come down to doing well in this race.
It ain't over yet. That is for sure. At medium skill, Lakeview Corner, Frank, new track, one uncrashable, one quantum shift, one wind at your back. What did you learn from studying the earlier Omniums about this track?
Well, I don't want to say because I'm going to tell Daniel now, but definitely this is really more like a crit course. There'll be a lot of crashing in corners, and how you use your power up effectively here probably is a big difference. So we'll see. I think it's all about where you use the power up and not going down. You
all
play
right.
it, on
we'll
the hairy
leave it
edge,
at that.
you play it for conservative.
We won't ask you to give away all of the marbles. So we also have Jeff.
Hairy edge, Daniel. Hairy edge.
Hairy edge, Daniel. Okay. All right. Those are some fighting words here. And then we also have Jeff, who's sitting in third, just about 5 points, under 5 points, 4.5 points to Frank. Jeff, what do you think?
Yeah, I've got some bad news for Daniel. He was quite proud that his power curve had come back to normal. I think with that last race, it's going to jump up again. So, sorry, Daniel. Amazing numbers you're putting out. Wow, it was hard work, I tell you.
It is. You never gave up. You kept working all the way. Just over 30 seconds to go. I'll let you get back to it, Jeff. Any words of wisdom? Did you learn anything about this course? Under 30 seconds. I don't want to kill you here.
Yeah, don't change lanes into somebody and watch that right-hander.
Big, good tip.
Yeah.
That sounds solid. Okay, just under 10 seconds. I don't want to keep you talking here. So under 10 seconds, Jeff mentioned a couple things I'll talk about. He talked about Daniel's curve. He talked about the racing here, keeping his rubber side down and not overlapping lanes here, overlapping tires and wheels here. But out of the gate, the first 10 seconds of these races that are high skill, they were invisible and now they're not. And what that was is quantum shift is activated for the first 10 seconds of the race, and that means the riders can phase through one another as they jockey for position in the first 10 seconds and establish their lane position. Now, if they do change lanes now and the lane is not clear, they will go down. If they are in the lanes and they actually exceed the max speed for that corner, they will crash and slide out. So knowing these tracks, this is a brand new track. We raced it for the first time today. It was just released in the game, and these racers, you heard people, Daniel allude to it. He was on keyboard practicing earlier, learning what those corner speeds are. So you can ride this on a keyboard. You can do the practice, and it's absolutely essential that you do that. And on the inside lane here, these lane changes that they are executing here are very, very technical. It looks like they're just sliding back and forth on the screen, but that is not what is happening. I mean, that is what is happening, but they have to do it with some finesse, because if they slide over and they overlap a wheel, they are going down. But as they move back and forth, they can get more speed if they're on the inside of the corner, because they're shortening up the distance of the race. So there's an advantage to being on the inside. So, but I did see in some of the earlier races that riders just actually sat kind of in the middle to hedge that bet of needing to slide back and forth so that they don't run out of room on the track and find themselves in a position they don't want to be in here. So again, on this course, we've got one uncrashable, one quantum shift, and one wind at your back. 2.7 kilometers to go in this race. It's a 3-lap race on Lakeview Corner. We saw an exciting finish earlier. Then Timothy there puts on a smile there. He puts himself in the front. He's on the inside lane there. Timothy on keyboard. He did race in the earlier Omnium. So fun to watch to watch his team TBD and what they're going to do. I think that feels like it has to stick. Ooh, a little move by Jeff there, digging in, coming around the inside of Timothy. Jeff on the front, wanting to get the points. Now, if he finishes first position here, as Frank said, it ain't over. So Jeff can pick up some points. And if he does pick up the points, he gets the front by 0.5. By 0.5, he would be in the lead. So close right now. The finishing positions, the points between them, one like 1 and 2 points, and then it just, they're going to start changing the positions. And I'm watching the live leaderboard being like, oh, so if Jeff finishes, then Daniel is there, and then Frank is there. So right now, Jeff, Daniel, Frank is the order if they finish in this position here. And but Timothy comes on the inside, so Timothy can kind of disrupt some of the points here. I doubt he will stay there, but he said he's going to help some people out if he can. He's having a good time. He's practicing the corner speeds. He's practicing what his threshold is, not physically, but on the speed. That's what he's testing. But again, back on board here, side by side with Frank, with Jeff. Jeff is working. Frank is working. Their heart rates are, whoa, Daniel goes down. You can see the exclamation point next to his name further down, making some reaction here in the game here. That was, I think, a move by Daniel reacting, trying to catch back on here. But Frank is still in the mix here, right next to Jeff, not letting go. Timothy's up there as well. Aaron is within 2 seconds of it, and then Homer a little bit further back. But Daniel did get, looks like he did after that crash, is back with the bot patrol. Allison here on keyboard, also in the race, can probably help Daniel here. Allison is back with the Pot Patrol. She's on keyboard. Hopefully she's in communication with Daniel. They can work together and she can maybe pull him back. Just 1 kilometer to go. Timothy's on the front, Jeff in second, Frank in third, Aaron, Homer, then Kayla. Kayla just a couple seconds back. So we will see who takes it at the line. Who has the legs in the sprint? Will it be Jeff? Will it be Frank? Who is going to take it? The lane positions matter. The power-ups matter. We saw that just absolutely light up. 0.8 kilometers to go. They have Uncrashable. They have Quantum Shift, and they have Wind at their back. The sequence by which they deploy that, the timing of when they deploy those supers is incredibly important. And there's going to be a lot of strategy at play. Further down, Aaron does use his Uncrashable a little bit earlier, trying to not slow down and trying to make up as much ground as he can as he comes in. But Timothy on the front. Timothy uses his power up, Wind at his back. And then also now Jeff uses Uncrashable, Quantum Shift, and Uncrashable, and all just digging in. And Frank right behind him, Uncrashable, Wind at his back, accelerating on the inside. Jeff too fast, goes down. Oh, that is painful. And then Frank will be able to go on without him, leaving Jeff behind after all that work. But Frank is still there. He does not want to lose sight of Timothy. Homer comes around, so that disrupts it even further. Frank, Homer, now Aaron. Jeff is down about 10 seconds from the front. So it's going to be Frank here. And Timothy comes across the line first on keyboard. Then Frank, first physical rider across the line. And then it will be Homer, or will it be Aaron? It will be Homer that comes across the line. And then it will be Aaron. Well done. And then Jeff right behind there. And then Kayla. So as Frank did say, it's not over till it's over. Frank on top of the leaderboard, 148. Daniel in second, 139. Jeff, 125.5. Here's the replay. He just had a little too much speed in that corner. He saw Frank coming around him. He saw Frank had his wind at his back. He had Quantum Shift in Uncrashable, and then he went off the side. So I'm not sure what happened there. Maybe his Uncrashable expired. Frank, talk me through that finish there, that last 1 kilometer.
Absolutely, like earlier today, I knew as soon as Daniel said that we're high-speed corners. You get there at the end. I think he actually overlapped with Aaron, but crashes happened. Jeff stacked it in the corner with an overspeed, and that's a tough course, and you get lulled to sleep before the end because you're not going that fast. Anyway, great race. Too bad Daniel and Jeff went down. I'm really heartbroken about that.
You look like you're really broken up, Frank. You look like you're really broken up about it.
Yeah. But it would have been fun to sprint Jeff, actually. I think he probably had that one. I went to try to sprint too hard because I rode his wheel the whole way, and we would have set up for like a 1.5 or 2 points separating us for the last race. So that would have been fun.
Well, congratulations. You're sitting just 9 points up from Daniel. Attack the middle. You saw it raced earlier. People, you're probably going to say stay in the middle line and don't crash. Any other insights on this course before I check in with your competition?
Certainly attack the middle is an appropriate name here, but there are opportunities, and we do all have a quantum shift, so you can't just block at the front. People can go through you, so it'll be interesting, to say the least.
Well, good luck to you, Frank. We will check in next with Daniel, who's sitting in second place here. Daniel, you went down. We've got some spicy talk here. So attack the middle. What do you know, and how are you going to play it?
I think I'm going to attack the middle. The title kind of gives away the hint. So we're going to see what's going to happen. I'm doing pretty well. This is like the best Omnium I've ever had where I haven't crashed a whole lot. So it's just going to be give her all I can, hang on, try and race smart, try not to push buttons more than I intend to, and stay upright.
That sounds like a solid plan. You've had some really good strategy, and it's paid off well, Daniel. Second place, only to Jeff, who had that also had a heartbreak crash. Let's check in with Jeff here. We've got 3 minutes before the next race. Hey, Jeff, you were right there with him, and I saw the look on your face.
Yeah, Uncrashable ran out in time. I had been watching my corner speed. And then, of course, I saw Frank right on top of me, put the extra power down, got the speed up above the limit just as Uncrashable ran out, and that was it. But that was a great race. Now that I've got internet working good and computer working good, I was practicing the lane changes and what it was actually like to not have lag and know what I was doing. So I really enjoyed it as a race. It was great, but Frank really knows how to get into someone's head. I've got to give him that. And that's a treat.
Well, it is the thing that I think racers, that someone who's watching that doesn't race, it's hard to see those nuances. It's hard to see and hard to practice. Congratulations on the great racing here. We're going to check in with the keyboard racer, Timothy. Timothy, just 2 seconds to go here. We saw you on the replay. You were able to race this course earlier. You shared some insights on Attack the Middle. Talk us through what you did in the earlier Omnium on this. What was your strategy earlier, and do you think someone could try to replicate it here tonight?
Oh yeah, so for sure the most important part of this race is the first like 20 seconds. You have to go all out here. A small tip I can give people here is, like, you say the gate drops and everybody goes off and people go like at 1200 equalized watts. They hold that for like 2-3 seconds and then they go down. So if you go at like 700 maybe 800, something like that, and then you accelerate up to 1000 or plus, that way you draft through the riders who went like off the start. And then you can kind of get in front of them before the quantum shift ended. So that way they don't draft you and you just draft through them at max wattage. And then once you're at the front, yeah, you just stay at the front.
That is brilliant. Thank you for that tip. And if you are taking notes, Timothy Termont is the master at these technical tracks. He knows how to get out in front, and getting out in front is the key because you make other people react. You set the pace, you set the tone. So that's a one little tip. That's quite a big tip, Timothy. So I hope people are taking notes. People are taking notes. Just 20 seconds to go. Good luck to you on this race. Good luck to all the racers. We can see who can actually take Coach Timothy's a plan and put it into action. Will it be Frank who will attack the middle and get that primo spot in 5 seconds? Will it be Daniel that will attack the middle and get that primo spot? Whoever it is going to be able to dictate the pace, and everyone coming up behind them will have to follow suit because there's not a lot of room on course. This is one of the brand new tracks. Frank uses his power, gets up to the front and says, I own the middle lane. The middle lane is mine. Daniel doesn't quite answer. 2 seconds back here. So Frank just has to set that case, keep the power up. If Frank did steady, but Daniel goes down, Homer goes down. overcooked the corner, slid out the side here. This is one of those things where those riders, then changes lanes into Kayla as they comes around. So, complicated. But Jeff was able to avoid the carnage there of Cognition. Homer there with Allison, his teammate there, trying to get the wheel of Allison. And side by side again, it's Jeff and Frank coming down to it. Now we've got 2.2 kilometers to go as you watch the Velocity rider on the left-hand side of the screen and you watch the CVRcade rider on the right-hand side of the screen. You can see in the nearby riders list that they are, neck and neck. There's not any distance between them. Their heart rate, Jeff, 200 equalized watts. Frank, a little bit lower there on the front. I'm looking back into the chat here. It says, that was from the last race. I missed some of those comments that this next race, yes, it does have tons of obstacles. We're seeing that come into play here. Welcome. We've got some new chip 1289. We've got, I think I saw another Doodad athlete. And we do have some other racers here in the chat. Thank you for joining us. And if you have any messages for the riders, I'm happy to read them. But Timothy there does do quantum shift. He phases through the riders. That is how quantum shift works. Quantum shift is a move where you can phase through the other riders. That's what you're seeing there on course. And that's the way to get around them without changing a lane, because we know changing a lane and attack the middle, there are obstacles there. You can see them on the overhead cam. They're on the left. They're on the right. You have to be in the correct lane or you're going to topple over and no one wants to go end over in the game and lose all that time. Now, Timothy's on the front. Frank and Jeff are still side by side here. Jeff on Frank's wheel here. Frank can set the pace here, 370 equalized watts, going 37 kph here. This is an opportunity where someone needs to change the lane to get around, or Jeff can just wait. 1.1 kilometers to go here. I'm trying to see here, interviews and highlights from Zone K and L. Whoop, coming back here. Doodad athlete says, when the crashes rain, they pour. That was earlier in the race. That is so true here. We are one lap down to go here. Frank moves to the side. That's interesting. He lets Jeff come around him. This is a tactic, I'm sure. This is not Frank being a nice guy in the racing. Timothy's on the front being, whew, I am sweating it out up here. Man, it's really hard to hold the front. But Jeff starts to drill it and says, that's okay, Frank. I'm not going to let you take my wheel, because one tactic would be for Frank to utilize his quantum shift here. But it does look like Aaron uses his quantum shift here, maybe thinking that Frank was going to benefit by sliding through on that. It does look like, oh, did Jeff go down there? Jeff went down and he slid out and hit the corner. Oh, that was painful. I just got to see that. Maybe we have a replay. We might not have a replay of that, but Jeff was on the front and he did suffer a crash into the stacked pipes on the right-hand side of the screen. Puts Frank physically, the physical rider, on the front. Timothy, the keyboard rider, in front of that. But Frank gets back into the middle lane. And it does look like with 0.1 kilometers to go that he is going to take the race. And that might be a lapped rider up in front there. I think he's stepping aside. Homer, he does come up to give him some competition, but Frank up out of the saddle. Timothy just finished the race, the non-physical rider, but Homer looks like he's going to take third. But Jeff, bumps into the wheel of Homer, almost made it back, didn't have a quantum shift to get on by Homer. So it will be Frank that'll come across the line first. You can see here Frank up out of the saddle, but Homer, he didn't have the quantum shift either. He nails, just bonks into Frank there right before the line, doesn't have the quantum shift to go through. And here comes Daniel on the last few curves here to get to the line himself. But that was a nice finish. Frank benefiting from the mistakes of the other riders out on course. Daniel is coming across the line now, and Frank does take up the points. And here comes Kayla with the rest of the bots there across the line in 5th place for Kayla tonight. Completely respectable. Here is the replay here of attack in the middle on the left-hand side. is Jeff. On the right-hand side is Frank. At that moment there, he slid out and he hit the banked logs there on this construction site, which is kind of what it feels like to me. And it was just after he was hammering it on the front. Frank stepped aside on the last lap, let Jeff come through, and that was really interesting. He ended up doing it. And then Jeff at the end there, boink, boink, right into Homer. Doesn't have the quantum shift. He loses a little bit of momentum and slows down. Homer also has the same situation where he's drilling it. Probably had a chance to overtake Frank. Frank did step out of the saddle and push a little bit, but you can see that right at the end, if Homer had a quantum shift, he comes on the wheel and he bounces into Frank and then changes lanes too late. If he had changed the lanes before the bump, there was a chance he would have come across the line. Frank, lots to unpack in that race. You always see something different than I see. Share your thoughts with me. Some mistakes out on course, but you were pretty much flawless.
Yeah, I think that I liked Timothy's idea on the sprint. I didn't do it that way, but I think that's really, really good advice. I decided to just sort of go all in on the sprint, and I think that pressured Daniel a little bit, and he made a mistake. And then it was just me and Jeff. I rode Jeff's wheel a lot the last race, so believe it or not, I was being a nice guy, because if Jeff finished in front of me, he would have finished second on the Omnium. But, it's not like we were in communication, so I think he thought I was probably going to pressure him. And so he made a mistake. And then Homer almost beat me at the end. I think if he had changed lanes, he definitely had me, because I was counting my chickens. You don't count your chickens before they hatch. And luckily, I was able to save the hatch.
Well, well done to you, Frank. Really great racing. I really love this attack the middle track. I wasn't sure how it was going to play out. Different dynamics. Been really fun to call it. And thanks for coming out in racing and putting down the effort. And let's check in here. We'll see what Daniel has to say. He did finish second on the night. Daniel, well done to you. A couple mistakes on attack the middle. What are you going to bring the next time you come to this track?
Just more focus. Frank was absolutely correct. I was worried more about other riders and wasn't paying attention to my own game plan and let the pressure get to me. Wasn't paying attention to corner speed, crashed out. He's got way more experience than me, so definitely learn from that. Bring it into the next race, try and focus a little more, maybe not crash again.
Well, congratulations. Second to Frank Garcia is a nice place to be sitting. Couple more practice on this newer track. I think you have a chance to maybe get him one of these times here, but congratulations to you. And then the man of the day, his fourth Omnium, Homer Thompson, third place tonight, Homer. You were just not going to go hard, and you people in the chat were saying you always look so happy. Were you having another good hour tonight of racing?
Oh yeah, I wasn't going hard. No, I want to put a shout out to Daniel. That was a fantastic race, Daniel. Good going.
So your teammate, if we were to add up these races, two of the Cognition riders out of the top three, looks just like you're setting up pretty well for the team league. Are you excited for the team league?
Yeah, I am. I feel a little guilty that I'm even in the team league. I feel like that Allison should be doing this, but it is what it is, and so I'll give it my best shot.
Well, that you are a fierce racer, 4 hours of racing. I think you get the award for most racing. Congratulations on the night. Let's check in with Jeff, who had that unfortunate crash on the second lap, on the last lap there. Thought he was going to have it. Jeff just slid out on that one. Is that what happened? You slid out and hit the pipes?
Yeah, well, I think I jinxed myself with the last interview because I had that lag and the graphics was actually probably 100 meters or so behind what was happening. So I only knew Frank had moved to the side because I heard you say so. So I thought, I'll just keep the power down and work hard with him. But I had no idea what speed I was doing until you announced that I crashed. So, and the same reason I didn't move to come around home, because I didn't know where I was on the track. I was just going hard and hoping.
Gotcha.
Anyway.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, even if you didn't have that, that was a very tricky course. Congratulations, doing Team Velocity proud. Congratulations on the night. Right now, we're watching the highlights here on Rocky Mountain. This is Frank putting in a dig at the beginning here. Timothy pulling Kayla along, saying like, "What? Who? Me? Am I recruiting Kayla? Nope, I'm just this Kayla." Listen, what is that laugh about? You can't leave the broadcast. We saw that laugh. Everyone was talking about it. What got you chuckling?
Oh, no, it was just in the moment because, I mean, Timothy was just doing so well, and he was just being such a great help. And then I mean, I was so in rhythm. I played that one so many times on Rocky Mountain, and I'm like, oh, man, of course, we're inching our way up. We're taking a second away at a time, and then I crashed. So we're just kind of laughing, and you know, it's just trying to have fun tonight too as well. So yeah, it just got the best of me.
Well, congratulations. Awfully fun. The team chat, excuse me, the team chat was probably a fun place to be, but also the mixer chat. You had a lot of screaming fans. You, Homer, everybody was had their racers. Team Cognition was out in sight there. So I was teasing Timothy that he was there trying to recruit you. You guys had fun working together. What's that like working with a keyboard rider? Like, were you in communication with him or just with the CVRcade team?
I was actually in the CVRcade team audio channel, but honestly, working with the keyboard, it's really great, honestly, and especially with playing with a keyboard player like Timothy himself. I mean, he's just so smart. He knows the game. I mean, he could tell when I was struggling a little bit going up the mountain on Rocky, and he pulled back a little bit, helped me go up, and he, you know, realized when I was gaining speed on the downhill. So I mean, it was great. I mean, Timothy's able to read, and when you get to that level, when you're able to read your other player, you can really make time back, and you can make it back to the pack and, you know, have a chance to win. So, yeah, it's a game changer, definitely. So, you know, thank you, Timothy, again, because I probably wouldn't have been able to make that time I did on Rocky Mountain without him.
Well, as we watch the replay and he wipes the sweat from his brow on keyboard, getting more practice in the race, that all matters because the racing that you see tonight is all the lead up to the team league here. As we watch the finish on this final race of Zone T of the Omnium, we see Homer closing in. We see Jeff closing in. Both of them not changing lanes, didn't utilize their quantum shift, holding the middle lane. Homer nearly takes Frank at the line, up out of the saddle. You can see him close on Frank, and he just doesn't change the lane. He has the acceleration, changes the lane a bit too late, but that is how the cookie crumbles. We've got Frank, Daniel, Homer, the two Team Cognition riders, second and third, Team Velocity racer Jeff in fourth, Kayla, fifth, Timothy, sixth, and Aaron down on. Allison also joined us on keyboard for one of those last races. But if you liked what you've seen here, follow us. We race every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. If you're interested in learning more about the game, you can go to CVRcade.com and download the game. Even if you don't have a bike, join us in one of the races tomorrow at 8:35 a.m. Eastern Time, 5:35 a.m. Pacific Time. We will be doing Rise and Rip onboarding. So if you're new to the game, and you do have a setup and you're like, what the heck do I do? I want to learn the game. I want to, you know, have someone to talk to. We do a nice group friendly ride every every Friday and Monday at that time. So check that out, the CVRcade Riders Group. All the information, great community. Thank you for joining us here. On behalf of CVRcade, I've had a lot of fun. Thank you, racers, for streaming in, and thank you, Mixer Chat. Thank you for all of the great conversation in the chat, and we will see you on Saturday.
But no, Beth, your goes crashing down. Determination, the suffering, the ability to, and she's unleashed everything in this attack. See, just how much that win means to him. All the marbles, Kayla versus Allison, and to the line. Kayla Laguna takes the victory.